I, 33-year-old female, have a daughter, 10-year-old female, who is very pale. She's a ginger, if that's any indication, and she was invited to a swimming party by her classmate. I asked her if she put on sunscreen and she said she did, but I had a feeling she was lying, so I asked her more questions about it, which just led to more lying. I put it on upstairs earlier. I put it on in the car, etc., which really upset me because she has a history of lying. I've talked to her several times throughout maybe the past 3 years about how I don't care if she does something bad, she should just not lie. Just last week she lied about something related to school, and I talked to her again about not lying. This time when she lied, I decided to actually punish her by not letting her go to the party. I feel really bad, but at the same time, I feel like she doesn't take me seriously because I never really punish her. But also, she thinks it's better to lie so she doesn't get punished. I don't feel like I'm that harsh because the worst I've ever done was take her phone away for a day. I think I'm the AH because I feel like it's such a small lie, but at the same time, I feel like lying about small things will eventually turn into lying about big things. So am I the idiot for not letting my daughter go to the swim party for lying about wearing sunscreen? Edit. I've realised my wrongs, but feel free to keep commenting and roast me. Second edit. Came back to this post from like 100 comments to almost 1k comments. There's a lot of stuff to people are commenting, so I'll just address a few of the couple of questions I'm seeing. 1. I already answered this in an earlier comment, but I thought she might have been lying because we've only been using Korean face sunscreen that I've bought in bulk lately, since that's the kind we like to put on ourselves. It comes in a small tube, and when I noticed it wasn't really touched, that's when I started questioning her. And that's when the lies compounded. She said she put on the sunscreen upstairs, but it was downstairs the whole time. Then another lie, she eventually admitted to lying. 2. How can she put sunscreen on her own? She's 10, almost 11, and limber. We both have no issues putting on our sunscreen, even the back. 3. People saying to let her burn as punishment. I'm sorry, but I don't think you understand how much more likely someone with her skin type will get cancer from being in the sun. 4. Some people are saying that lying is natural for this age, while others are accusing me of harassing her and other things, and that's why she lies. For the latter, I don't know how you got to that conclusion. I think that was it for the most common comment/questions. Overall, my takeaway from this is what I got from the comments. Be proactive instead of reactive when it comes to situations like this. I appreciate those who offered advice because they genuinely understood that being a parent is hard, and no one gets it 100% right. Anybody else who's reading this and are in a similar situation, I hope this thread gives you insight on how to approach your children. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. I'm torn. Because I hear the history of lying and I get the concern over it, but also it seems not that abnormal to be a kid and to kind of lie about having totally done the thing that they don't really want to do. If you knew she hadn't actually put on sunscreen, my thought is that she doesn't really want to or see the importance of it. Has she ever had the pain of a sunburn? Does she know about skin cancer? Maybe yes to the first, maybe no to the second. I would have thought of just going with her to the bathroom and watching her put on the sunscreen, help her get it on her back, and start in with talking about why it's important. This said as a pale person in a family that has a history of skin cancer. I really don't remember how enthusiastic I was about sunblock, but I do know that when I came home from my first band camp at 14, bright red as a lobster, despite having put on 35 SPF that morning, South Florida, my mum ran out and got this gigantic bottle of 90 SPF sunblock and would proceed to make sure I was absolutely covered, and then drilled it into me that I was supposed to put more on at lunchtime, and made sure the adults, parents helping out knew to make sure I put more on. And I did, because damn, that sunburn was painful. So if it's important, make sure it happens. I don't know that 10 is old enough to really know why some things are as important as they are, so very, very gentle. You're the idiot with the caveat of you know your kid better than I do. And yeah, if the lying is a thing, maybe talk to a therapist. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. It sounds like she's lying to lie and talking hasn't worked. She's a liar and that needs to be addressed, but sounds like you failed to have consequences or even change your approach to your daughter. If you asked, when are you going to put on sunscreen? What would she have said? Is there something in your tone where she feels obligated to answer yes or no to avoid your response? Step back and think about the driver. Address it, then consequences. But she committed to the party. The people bought food and favours assuming she'd be there. I don't think it's the right punishment. No TV/phone/computer would have been a fine first step, so would writing about why sunscreen is important. Comment 3. Family of gingers here. At 10, I doubt she has the ability to properly apply sunscreen, especially to her back, ears, etc. It is your job as her parent to facilitate applying sunscreen, not try to catch her in a lie. If she went to the party without sunscreen, nor a sun protection suit in, she will face the consequences of a possibly severe sunburn. It will hurt. Let her face natural consequences and perhaps get some more freckles. Also, small tubes of sunscreen are not easy for children to use. The spray sunscreen or the colour-changing ones are more likely to be embraced by her. Buy the poor child a sunsuit. Now for the next story. I, 25-year-old female, have a daughter, 8-year-old female. I had her when I was very young and her father was never in the picture. My older sister, 34-year-old female, and her husband, 39-year-old male, have helped me a lot. Raising my daughter alone and going to college would have been impossible without them. My sister is a stay-at-home mum, Sayem, and my brother-in-law, BL, is quite wealthy due to his family business. They pay for my daughter to go to the same private school as their kids, 11-year-old male, 8-year-old female and 6-year-old female. It's very expensive, but my brother-in-law can afford it, and I'm very grateful to them for giving my daughter more opportunities. I recently got married and my husband, 36-year-old male, has 3 daughters, 12, 9 and 7. They go to our local public school, which is good but not as good as the private school my daughter goes to. Last night he told me that he thinks it isn't fair that my daughter goes to a $40,000 per year private school while his daughters have to go to public school. He said that next year I need to either send my daughter to public school or ask my brother-in-law to pay for his daughters to go to private school. I told him that I'm not doing that because I want my daughter to have all the opportunities I didn't have. I went to a low-quality inner-city public school, and my brother-in-law can't afford to send 7 kids to private school. He got mad at me and said that our kids are siblings now, and everything needs to be equal between them. Am I the idiot? Now here are the comments. Comment 1. No, you are not the a-hole. Your new husband is. The fact that you think you're refusing to ask your brother-in-law to pay for your new husband's 3 children to attend an expensive private school could mean you are an a-hole, is a huge, giant, red waving flag that should be visible by the astronauts on the space station. I'm quite taken aback that your new husband sees nothing wrong with asking his new brother-in-law to pay $120,000 a year to send his kids to a private school. It makes me wonder if the either-or option your new husband gave you was actually a red herring, because he knows that no sane, reasonable person would actually do something so unrealistic, outrageous and ridiculous. In other words, is your new husband's goal merely for you to put your daughter in public school so that he will not have his ego bruised or feel badly that he cannot do the same for his own children? But here's the deal. That is his problem. And quite frankly, something he should have thought of and broached with you long before you two got married, though I would have said he was out of line then too if he had. It is neither fair nor kind to suggest that your child's opportunities should be diminished for any reason, even for the sake of other children. It may have been different if you married your husband when all of your children were preschool aged and the precedent had not already been established of your daughter attending private school, but that is not what happened. If there are other situations in which your husband behaves this way, please reevaluate the relationship since it is so new, as it would be easier to unwind now than later. If he is selfish, inconsiderate of your daughter, has a very fragile ego that manifests in bizarre, self-centered ways, this will just be the beginning of problems with him. Comment 2. Not the idiot. This is really the kind of thing your husband should have mentioned before the two of you married. Something about the phrase, the kids are siblings and everything needs to be equal between them, is throwing up red flags for me. Even between full siblings things aren't equal. You can aim for fair, but you can't ever achieve equal. Like, think about trying to spend equal amounts of money on 2 different children for Christmas gifts. It's impossible. So I think my feeling is that the convince your brother-in-law to pay for my kid's school could be part of a bigger issue with money and entitlement. For instance, if you've joined finances, is your income being spent on your husband and his kids? Are you being expected to take on the majority of childcare? Basically, is he taking advantage of you? Comment 3. Not the idiot. The kids are now step-siblings. They are of no relation to your sister and brother-in-law, and they owe them nothing. I would make this a hard line and always put your daughter first. If this is the hill he chooses to die on, then let him and leave. Huge red flags like flashing red light red flags. I am sure that he was aware before you were married that his children were in public and your child was in private. That makes it an even larger red flag. Please reevaluate this relationship. if you force the issue or even approach it with your brother-in-law. The only person who will lose here is your daughter. Now for the next story. My 42-year-old male wife's 40-year-old female family is Mexican, and they follow a tradition to hold a big party for girls that are turning 15. It's called a quinceañera. That wasn't part of my culture, and I never understood the point of spending so much money in a party anyway, but we did save up for a while to throw my daughter one. Until my daughter herself said a few months ago that she doesn't want a party and would prefer to spend that money on a trip. It will be a 30-day tour to Europe with a group of teenagers, including some school friends. Here's the thing, my daughter has a twin brother. Of course, my son wouldn't get a quinceañera, even though they celebrate their birthday on the same day, because the party is just for girls. But since the party turned into a birthday trip, he's upset and feeling left out. I tried to explain to him, I'm not so financially comfortable right now to send both of them. I could find a way, but I honestly don't want to spend anything beyond the quinceañera fund. He lashed out and told me his mother and I always favour his sister over him, which is very unfair. I then told him my father never paid for any of my trips, and the first time I went abroad I was already an adult and did it with my own money. If that's what he wants, I suggested he could maybe look for a job. I understand that I was harsh, but his sense of entitlement really threw me off. Am I the idiot for agreeing to the trip where he'd stay behind? Edit. To make it clear, I'm not paying for any of my daughter's friends' trips. It will be a supervised tour, and some girls she knows from school will also go on their parents' dime. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. You think spending money on a party is wasteful, so you decide to send your daughter on a month-long trip instead. You tried to explain to your son that you couldn't afford to send him on holiday as well, then say you actually can afford it, you just don't want to. Then you suggest an underage child gets a job if he wants to be treated equally to his sister. Your annoyance at your son's sense of entitlement is comical, as he is rightfully entitled to equality. Despite all this, you think his assertion that you favour his sister is unfair, when your whole post details how you favour his sister. Are you doing anything special for your son's birthday at all? You know, at least just the one day when it's his actual birthday, not the 30 that your daughter's getting. You're the idiot. Comment 2. Wouldn't he still have felt like he was treated unequally if only his sister got the party? I think the fact that he's saying you always favour her should be eye-opening. A 30-day tour of Europe with friends and hope to hell some parents is shitty. That's an insanely long time free to be travelling while her brother is at home feeling unloved. Maybe culturally it might have been okay to only throw your daughter a party, because at least your son could enjoy the party too somewhat. But changing it to a once-in-a-lifetime trip for only one kid feels extra shitty. You're the idiot. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Yeah, big time. Giving one kid an extended vacation to Europe while the other kid gets nothing is cruel, especially for something arbitrary like turning 15 because he also turned 15. It's not entitled to want to be treated the same as a twin sibling by his own parents. This is step 1 of possibly causing an irreparable relationship with your son. Delay the trip until the funds are enough to include him on the trip. Or better yet, cut the trip to 15 days so both can go and he can bring a few friends too. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.